The end. Hey everybody, welcome. This is our Amnesia Machine for Pigs post video game playing, talking about how we felt playing the game.
Very long title.
Yes.
Well, we'll cut it down later.
But yeah, so thanks Fictional Games for another Amnesia title. I think I like the first one better.
I definitely liked the first one better, and it's because I just felt the atmosphere was better in general. Like, this one I didn't feel like the pigs were really ever a threat.
Well, yeah, I never felt like, as you say, threatened at all, or like really scared or like worried that they were ever gonna like actually do something to you as a player.
They were also really easy to run away from. I mean, like, the first one you encountered, you just ran behind some boxes and boom, it stopped chasing you.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, the first game, if you were seen, you were dead.
Yeah, I died quite a few times in the original Amnesia. Not that, like, dying in games makes it better, because it's harder, but it also didn't help.
Well,
that
it wasn't
you
even like punishing when you died in this game. It like put you to the next checkpoint and was like, it's okay, here you go.
And I get that in this game I felt like they were more interested in telling a story than in the previous game, which story for me was second. It was more about the gameplay.
That's true, because I don't remember as much of the story from the first one, really.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, shit's happening, I don't care, this is scary.
Oh yeah, look at this guy, he's creepy.
Yeah. So I was never really that deeply into the story. And so the fact that the storytelling I don't think is their strong suit. And
not
so I don't
here,
think
it's
that
not.
when they focused on
it really felt like it was
shoving itself down your throat.
And like more drawn
Purple
out.
pros.
Yeah, full of purple pros, my god.
Until you turn purple.
Extremely flowery.
And they have too much gross out terms. It felt like reading a creepypasta that was done by like some, I don't know,
13-year-old
armchair philosopher.
Like, oh yeah, this will be real creepy.
Exactly.
Well, the problem of gross or grotesque metaphors is they're only useful insofar that we have to imagine part of it. If you give all of it to us, then it's just like, well, that was graphic, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I like that one near the end where like the pigs will like shove their snouts in the ribs or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that one's good. I like that one.
That one was really
I
good.
could picture it. Like the imagery was just better than like.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's talking about sort of the machinery of the world that leads up to World War I.
Yeah.
And how people treated people in that whole thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, shoving their snouts into your hearts and, like, sort of digging in the worst parts and just tearing out the heart of you through all of the mechanics of war. That's really well put together in that metaphor.
Mm-hmm. Those are really short credits.
Yeah, very short, only 3 minutes.
Well, they can just stare at the end.
Yeah. Or you can click out and it can just show the menu. You guys want to appreciate the beautiful menu.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah.
But also, before you even encountered any of the monsters, you already got descriptions of what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. And they basically told you that, you know, they're workers. They've been something that's been designed for the purpose of working this machine.
Yeah. They gave too much information about that. I didn't need to know how they, like, the specifics of how they were made.
Are you sure? How are you going to create your own man-bear pig if you don't know every step?
Man-bear pig, it's like diet man-bear pig. They don't have the bear. It's too girthy.
Man-pig light.
No, the bear was inside your home.
That's true, it was.
That's true, yes.
So along with the anteater and the hippo.
Yeah.
And the tapir.
God,
yes,
that was
the
a
tapir.
huge-ass anteater.
The ugliest horse ever.
I still think it was a normal anteater and a really small hippo.
I think you're right.
It was a
It
pygmy
was a
hippo.
very small
It's a
hippo.
little. Pygmy hippos are not that big.
I know.
It was a medium.
It was just
between
an
the two.
oversized house hippo.
How did you feel the gameplay
Very
was?
oversized.
How did you feel the gameplay was?
The gameplay was pretty smooth.
Did you feel like it was a step up from the original, or
no,
like
not at all.
Yeah,
It felt the same in
Did
terms of gameplay.
How did you feel about like the lantern not needing oil and not having to take like laudanum and stuff for your health? Like missing that whole like inventory screen and stuff.
I didn't mind not having it, but I think in this case I don't know. I think in this case it would have made the game more tedious. by nature of this particular game.
Well, yeah, because it already felt like this game, like the pacing was having a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And there was too many journal entries, there were too many notes, so flowery,
There was also,
keeping it slow.
I think there was also an issue in the way that your lantern operated, in the sense that you could just walk around with your lantern with no penalty, and then when a monster was going to come by, it would start flickering, so you'd immediately know. So there wasn't, like, any surprises.
Yeah, there was no detriment to keeping your lantern out. Whereas
Yeah.
before, like, you never appeared to be going crazy in the dark whatsoever. Like, you were just running around with no fear.
Which is even more bizarre, because after playing, like, you know, the last installment they did, which was Dear Justine.
Justine.
I believe Justine was not made
Was it
by
fan
them.
made?
Was it fan made?
I believe it was fan-made.
Okay, well,
Well, Justine was pretty solid.
regardless, yeah, after playing Justine, which is only really like a 5-minute run if you can do it properly. But
Don't get killed.
yeah, don't get killed. But I mean, just playing that and then playing this not right afterwards, but afterwards is just I don't normally complain about games being too easy. I normally really don't, because I think that's a stupid thing to complain about. Except in this case, because the game was too fucking easy,
Well,
and it didn't really add to, like, I don't know. It felt almost like a visual novel, less than a game. Some points I was like, I wonder what I do here, but it
and then
was
it
usually just
literally
like,
just took your hand and was like, shh, don't worry, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I wasn't too keen on that. I'm overall, again, I'm not the whole pig transformation of people thing seems to be incidental, and I don't see how it fits into the story they're trying to establish.
It doesn't lead to anything.
It doesn't.
Other than the slaughtering of the people with man pigs, but did it have to be man pigs?
The only thing I can think of is this is all happening in his mind. This whole game is supposed to be a metaphor for, like, his philosophies on how the world works, and
I don't think
it wasn't
so.
actually, but, like, it,
Although,
it
like, a
didn't feel
temple
like it
under
was.
under a giant factory is perfectly, I don't know.
Well, no, but he was pretty much insane at that point. Like, you know
Yeah.
that. I mean, he had the machine. He had amnesia about having the machine. He didn't remember anything. He totally forgot that the voice he was talking to was just a part of himself. And in order to stop the machine, he had to stop himself. So he had to kill himself off.
But did he actually create pig people, or were the pig people a product of his mind and represent how he treated people and how he kind of reverted them to, like, this pig-like state?
Like the orphans and
no,
stuff.
I
It's
think
not
he
clear.
created pig people.
It's just so weird. It doesn't make sense.
I think the main problem is that in order to facilitate gameplay and the intensity of gameplay, as much as it wasn't that intense, the parts of the story we really needed to know to understand how the story progresses in the actual game part are missing, or they're played down to an extent, so we don't really quite understand what was going on with his wife, other than she died in childbirth.
Yeah.
We don't really understand what happened to the sons, because there are suggestions that, like, they died when he came back from Mexico, or they died because he killed them,
I
or
think
they
he
were
used
fevered
them
and
for
sick.
the machine.
Yeah, but, like,
But,
it's
like,
not clear
why?
how, like, what leads him to that decision, right?
It was the broken part of him that hated them because they caused his wife's death.
But that's not enough
No.
to develop into this, and that's what's missing. It's just sort of, okay, I hate my children and I love my children. The world is crazy, therefore I will use my children to destroy the world. It doesn't even like, my saying it that way translates better than what the game did.
To me, it's just that he hated everything. After he lost his wife, his brain kind of separated. He went into a really dark place. Everything was just absolutely terrible. Like, he loved his kids on one side, but the other side of them just hated them and hated everything that there was, and decided that he needed to get rid of all the filth because he didn't want any of this to be around any longer. So he took his company for food processing that he already had and started to work inside of it.
Well, yeah, that's what we read out of it, but all the little pieces that put that together to make a story are missing.
Yeah.
They're not
I would say
explained
so.
enough for us to feel sympathetic, to feel compelled,
There's not
to
enough
be involved.
motivation anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. We don't feel that motivation. I don't even really feel its motivation for fixing or breaking the machine, because it just wavers back and forth the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess I see it differently.
Yeah, so overall I didn't really care for the plot they were trying to convey. In my opinion, it didn't succeed as a game or a story, unfortunately, and that sounds pretty cruel. I really like these kinds of games normally, and I love indie developers and all that shit, but this one didn't work for me personally.
On the other hand, the music was quite wonderful.
Oh my god, the music was great! I would love to get a soundtrack of this game. So yeah, that was absolutely fantastic music.
And overall, like, the sort of graphics and the images, some of the, like, the shots of the machinery is quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
The set design?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of detail went to that.
Yes.
I think some of the concept in general is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe a different time period would have worked better, so people could have been, like, maybe the 1920s. And so you have, like, the first war that already precipitated things, and so it's like they're impending the second war, and they're like, people are just going to keep getting into these things.
And that might have been enough motivation to understand why Mandus does what he does.
Yeah.
Doesn't want his sons involved.
Yeah. Like,
Again,
he's a survivor or something.
And even by, like, the 1930s, they had a sense that World War II was going to happen.
Yes.
And he undoubtedly seems like the type of person who would at least be involved or inclined to know some of this stuff. So he would start moving towards stopping the world before that great trauma happens.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make him Jewish or not, could make a big difference in the gameplay too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That really would have made a huge impact on this whole game, actually. But then they wouldn't have been able to use steam power, and that's the cool thing to do.
Though you would just have to change it a little bit. There'd still be a lot of steam powered things, but there'd be a few other technologies.
Electricity in the game.
Yeah. And it's not like we still don't use steam power for a lot of things.
In that sense, that's true. Some like the steam pipes and stuff, we still have those.
Yeah, there was really, other than we are in the sort of steam age, and we're definitely before World War I, there is really no indication of time set. Those are the only things that really stood out for me.
I did really like the scene where, like, the slaughter happened, because I rarely see a game where there's actual interaction with NPCs in the environment like that.
Yeah.
So actually seeing them be getting dragged away, like, that kind of sickened me, which is good. It should have sickened me, because it was a pretty terrible scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Naked
to
guy
mention
thrown out the window.
on the aspect of time, the game was in the late 1890s, and it
Yeah, I
ended
know.
at 1899.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it was, like, in the notes that there were
Okay.
dates and whatnot, but...
Yeah, and it also
Generally
talk about the turn
speaking.
of the century, and you can also tell by the art design and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they said at the very end that, the century turns. But other than that, like, in terms of, like, the way the characters look, the way the streets look, it could have been set in any time.
Well, they also had a lot of nouveau stuff, and although technically
Yes.
it wouldn't have been around at the late 1800s, it would have been like 1905.
Yeah.
But like you can forgive that.
Yeah.
Okay, so absolute final thoughts before we sign off?
I'm glad I played it because there were some elements in it that were good, but ultimately I don't think it's that great.
Obviously, what happened was that we died in the dumbwaiter, and everything thereafter was just a dream.
We were just a child in the hospital, dreaming it all.
Dream of pigmen singing Old MacDonald in operatic voices.
E-I-E-I-O. So thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been Skizicks, Mallow, Motive, and Kitten taking you on this trip.